Hello and welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It podcast. I'm your host, GB. I'm back, better than ever, Eric Bischoff. I'm not going to be quite normal the interview. Don't worry about that. It's been a long time, but as I have said on Twitter, been a bit busy in my social life and work, even though it's summer holidays. But work has piled up a little bit. But I'm here. Got a great guest, one I've been wanting to interview for a while. I've actually met him before a couple of years ago. Sent him the photo, which is quite cool. Spicy now, which you can see there. This is going to be a fun interview. Today's guest is a bodybuilder, model, represents the 8-7, and not just a pro wrestler, but Ibiza's favourite pro wrestler. Please give up for Big Wavy Roy Johnson. How you doing today, mate? You all good?
Yeah, all good, man. I'm fresh out of a gym session, so I've got energy at the moment. It might dip towards the end, but we'll see.
That's cool, man. That's cool. And I appreciate it, man. Making the time and coming on today. We're gonna have a fun chat. I'm actually gonna start the conversation by discussing your upcoming show next month.
Cool.
So you team up with Restival and put on the Big Wavy Roy Johnson's Everything Pattern Show. So you're putting a spotlight on British wrestlers of color. So as a person of color myself, I automatically thumbs up. Something that's gonna catch my eye. But I want to ask you personally, what inspired you to start running these shows?
Um, so back 2019, maybe it was. I remember I was backstage at a Progress show, and I'm sure they won't mind saying it because it was the old Progress. But I was looking at the card and it was literally all white people, all white faces, all
Yeah,
white wrestlers. And like no, and this is the thing that no one ever notices this. It happens all the time, even to this day, right? Regularly, there's cards going up and down the country regularly that are just all white faces, and no one notices it apart from me and like a couple other wrestlers. Our conversations generally end up us sharing these graphics to each other and just face palming. But like, yeah, no one ever notices these things, and then I kind of um brought it up off the back of a conversation that had been going on Twitter, started by Rob Brazier about there being Rob Brazier, the photographer
yeah,
for Progress and other places, and runs the head drop shows. So he noticed there was a problem with diversity, and I think the fact that he brought it up earlier in the week made me feel a lot more comfortable to talk about it openly.
yeah,
And the fact that it's not all in my head and all that sort of stuff. And I remember talking to some of the guys backstage, and they're saying, "Oh, right, so like if you're going to take, someone off the show and replace them with a person of color, who would you put on?" Like implying that the wrestlers of color weren't at the same level as their white counterparts in the country, which is a fair comment because apart from maybe Rampage Brown, there wasn't that many
yeah,
big names really in Brit Rest, people of color. Obviously, you had people like myself who gets about on shows, but I wouldn't class myself as a big name and like a to level where you'd expect to see me on the Progress show regularly. So anyway, so I had the conversation and then even got to the point where like someone at the time backstage said, "Oh, but like our champion's Austrian," and I was like, "Okay." He's still a white man. that doesn't look any
yeah.
different on a poster or a match graphic than if he was from London. So anyway, went away from that, went to my job. I was working in a gym at the time. I sat on reception. I was very bored, and a lot of things I used to do is when I'm bored, is write lists of things, just whatever.
Yeah,
That helps me keep organised, but also kills
yeah,
time. So I sat and wrote out a card of pretty much well, yeah, all probably black talent, but there's obviously wrestlers of color there from other, um, maybe Asian descent or something. I wrote this card out, and about the same time I wrote this card out, Wrestling Resurgence came to me. So we've got this idea we want to run a show for Black History Month, kind of in the guise of how Joey Janela has a spring break. We want to have a Roy Johnson show featuring wrestlers of color.
yeah,
I was like, oh, that's interesting. I was literally thinking about this the other day. And at the time, I was actually saving up money to be able to make this come to fruition because I didn't have the funds to put on a show, didn't have the contacts to. I mean, I was looking at venues and stuff, but I didn't have the strong contacts to be able to get one on show up, that year. So it all just fell into place. The fact that they wanted to run this show, I had the show idea, and it's just very strange that we both had the same idea. And then, and also I had this card written out that was right in front of me, and essentially that card that I wrote out was the card for the first Everything Pound. Apart from, I had Jody Fleisch as I wanted him on the first show, but he was booked elsewhere.
Oh.
And the fact that like I was doing this card, like it must have been like April, May. The show was in October, and I don't know, was it? I think it might have been the summer. Anyway, the thing that baffled me, it really struck me as baffling, was the fact that I could pull together a list of people of color, wrestlers of color, onto a fantasy card, and all of them were available for that Saturday, apart from Jody Fleisch. So yeah, that's how it came about. We did the first one, and it was a great success. It was really well received, sold out, and it did one of the things that I thought was really important to do, and that's bring new faces to wrestling.
Yeah.
So this was another reason why I wanted to do this show, because my friends who watch wrestling, they don't come to Brit Wrest shows, like black guys, Asian guys, or whatever. They don't really go to Brit Wrest shows because, firstly, there's a lack of diversity in the representation of talent, and also the lack of diversity in the people in the crowds. And I know that to be true because before I started wrestling, I used to go to progress shows. Me, my friend Justin, who wrestles as JPR up north, me and him used to go to the progress shows, and literally me and him
mate, great guy, by the way.
He's a great guy, and yeah, me and him have been friends for years.
Yeah, so he's quality, man. He came up. There's a lot of good talk, and just what a guy, mate. What a guy. Loves his Newcastle. Just had to give him a shout out then.
So me and him are really good mates. We've been mates for like over 10 years.
Yeah.
Way before I even started wrestling and stuff. And me and him used to go to wrestling shows together. That's how we kind of struck up a friendship and stuff. But it was literally just me and him, the only black faces in the crowd. But the fact that there wasn't so many black and brown faces in the crowd didn't deter me from wanting to watch wrestling, because I love wrestling that much. And I'm not the kind of person who generally feels uncomfortable in a room full of like white faces. But anyway, so my friends, they didn't want to come to wrestling for that reason. So I thought, right, well, if I put together a card of people of color that should boost the profile of the wrestlers, people on the show, and hopefully get a new or expand the Brit Wrest audience, get more people coming to watch it.
That representation, when you are in the crowd, and I can relate to you as well. Someone that's been watching wrestling, pretty much a lifelong fan, and going to shows, and just noticing the lack of diversity, being probably like a small amount of people that are color. And not to say there was any issues, anything like that. No trouble.
No, that's the thing. There was never an issue. I never had any issues.
You do notice it when you watch when you see the graphics of it and the posters, and then you see them coming out, and you're just like, oh, I mean, it's a really good show, but sort of just be nice to be a bit more diverse. You do see a bit more, but still, you do see it, the graphics, like who comes up first. I'm not gonna name any companies with that, but if you know, you know.
Yeah, and I think so, and so it's really important that I felt that the scene needed to grow its fan base, because you go to a wrestling show and you see the same faces at every show. Like if you go to a London show, you'll see the same faces at a London show. You might see these particular people venture out into places close to London or whatever. It's the same up north. You see the same people at northern shows. If you're a wrestler, you recognise fans' faces, and you expect to see certain people at a show. And there's more and more wrestling promotions popping up, but there's not really more, or not what I was seeing anyway, like a growth in the fan pool. So that was another reason why I wanted to do it. So they've got obviously diversity point of fans and the wrestlers, wanting to boost the profile of British wrestlers so they're seen as on the same level as their white counterparts, and to expand the fan pool with people of color, basically.
Yeah, no.
So those are the three reasons why I did it.
And you've seen it be successful. You see the growth already. And
Yeah.
what is it, the fourth or fifth show now you're running? The one that's next month?
So I run the first one with Resurgence,
Yep.
second one with Progress,
Hmm.
third and fourth with Restival. Got the fifth with Restival, and then the sixth with Purpose coming up.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
What can fans say? For example, there's fans out there who have never attended, and going back to even what you said, they might be in that position where, oh, I just, just it's kind of not for me. There's no one I can kind of relate to in that way. But if you just say, okay, come to one of my shows, this is what you can expect. What can they expect? Not just people of color, but just
Yeah.
as a show overall, just to get them in the building.
Well, I'd say the first thing, the fans who have attended this show have been incredibly diverse. There's people of all colours, colours, genders, sexual orientation, or what
Yeah,
have you, come to watch these shows because they're very, very inclusive, very welcoming, and
yeah.
that's how I want it to be. The show itself, very simple in terms of, I told the guys who are on the show, I don't want to micromanage how you guys wrestle or whatever.
Hmm.
If there's any sort of key points I want in booking, I'll let you guys know. But other than that, you
Give
do
them the
your thing.
freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. So give everyone the freedom to what they want to do. Very much, I like to keep things very simple story wise in terms of, you know, heel versus face, or if there's a face match.
Still works in
Still
2023.
works, but I want it to be done well, and it's same with like intergender matches and that sort of thing. So I like to keep all that very simple. Like I said, I don't overbook these shows because I want them to be simple for people who aren't avid BritWres fans who come to their first show. Because a lot of people who've been to these shows, they've told me they've been their first show they've been to, but I get that quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I want to keep that side of things very simple.
Yeah.
I want to focus on British talent.
Hmm.
So an everything pattern show that's ran by me, it will be very rarely, if ever, see imports on them because they don't add anything to the show. But I think it's very important to give the British wrestlers of color the boost.
Yeah, and that focus as well. It's just not to say like they're not worth it or anything, but just kind of
no, of course not. And we have had imports. Obviously, we had on the first one we had Sugar Dunkerton and Darius Lockhart on the first one because they were both in the country, and we kind of class them as BritWres guys anyway.
Yeah,
so,
they've done enough UK shows now.
yeah. So we had them on the Progress one as well. We had Trisha Dora, Holly Dead, Jonathan Gresham, Giselle. So we had quite a number of imports on that show. But really, if it's a show that I have full control over and I'm running, I want to focus on the British guys. And not only that, I want to focus on guys who don't have the platform and who aren't everywhere. I like to try and give debuts and always looking to do first time matches.
Made me happy, by the way, that you got Harrison Leon in the show.
Yes,
he's got something. He's quality.
Yeah, he's a really, really nice guy. I wrestled him. Yeah. Me and Roth wrestled him in a tag match in February.
Mm-hmm.
We did the match, and I said to Roth, I really like this guy. I really like him. Like he's like got really good like energy about him. He's really positive about wrestling, and it's kind of like
nice person. He is.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. He's just, like one of the people I like to be around. So I always said to him, let's just add him to 8-7. So ask him, see if he wants to do it. And he was very happy and excited to join. So now he's a member of the 8-7. And like I said, I want to give people debuts, give people first time matches, because there are a lot of first time matches between wrestlers of color. Because a lot of people either won't book too many wrestlers of color on one show, or these matches don't happen. And we've had some like great first time matches at Everything Pattern. We've had in the first we had me versus Levi Muir. Like I've known Levi for 8-9 years.
But you never wrestled?
Never wrestled. We tagged together.
Yeah. I was going to say you teamed up, but
we never wrestled each other. In fact, like we trained together so much. Like during lockdown, we were trained together. He turned his garden into a garage gym. We changed it, trained in there.
I'd hate to see the workouts you two do.
Yeah, Levi's. Well,
just the thought of it make me like shiver a little bit.
He'll push you through some stuff, man. But and so me and Levi have always been like real close. I look at him like a younger brother kind of thing.
Yeah.
but we never wrestled each other. So that's the first time match up on a singles match. We've had Levi versus Warren Banks, hasn't happened before. We've had we got coming up Levi versus Roth, hasn't happened before. That's the thing I think about mostly when I look at the cards, like which matches have not been done before. Let's see if we can do that. Let's see who can get people in who need the spotlight, who need a platform to wrestle, to get their name out there. And it's that formula's worked. We've had so many people so many like big names who on the British scene who I don't want to say started out. They didn't start out at Everything Pattern, but working on Everything Pattern gave them a nice boost. And push them to where they need to be. Like Leon Slater, for example, his Progress debut was Everything Pattern.
Was it?
Yeah. And
I see he went viral for
the
Swanton Bomb thing he does. That's insane, by the way. The height.
450.
Bloody hell.
So he's gone to like incredible heights, so well deserved, and he's so talented. He's so young as well, and he's got so much ahead of him in terms of his career. And this is the kind of thing that I was looking at when I first had this conversation about putting a spot on people of color.
Mm-hmm.
People are saying, but there aren't any wrestlers who can fill the spots of the white counterparts. And look at the scene now. Look who's on top of the scene. Got like Leon Slater, got a man like DeReese, got Rio, Warren Banks, Levi. Like I could go on and on. Amari, there's
such a proper talent that
the
may have not been given
the
opportunities a couple of years ago.
And the talent's all there, and that's all I'm trying to prove is that the talent's there. We can put on great shows, and the shows also, in my opinion, I always want them to be really feel good anyway.
Yeah,
the show will always end on a high. It'll end with cameo Candy. All the faces will get in the ring and dance and close the show out, and that's how I always want it to end. So, yeah.
No, I like that, mate. Just that representation, it's pretty important, and the fact that it's a show, it's a showcase for British wrestlers of color, but it's a show for everyone.
Yeah,
which I like.
I think I just want to clear up a common misconception with this show as well.
Yeah,
I make little to nothing on these shows, like nothing. The most successful one for me financially was the one I did with Wrestling Resurgence, only because they paid me a fee to curate it, which was I wasn't expecting. Just because I did a lot of work in the background with like booking interviews, all this sort of stuff, and they to my surprise paid me for it. But every other show I've done, it's literally I've been paid my wrestling fee.
Yeah,
and that's it. And if the show is done particularly well, I might put some money aside to go towards booking people for the next one. But yeah, I get no financial gratification out of it. I do it because I want.
Crazy, you got to address that, mate. But people talk, unfortunately, without no actual substance or any truth to it, what they say.
Yeah. Or about like, well, I've had people thinking that it's a big money spinning thing for me, which it isn't. I can make sure I only really get paid my fee, and anything that is above that gets put into a pot for the next show.
Yeah.
And when I say anything above that, it's a very small amount. And like, no, I got things, negative comments about like the show being all about me, and me being conceited and doing all this sort of stuff. And the fact that the show's named after me is because I'm protecting my intellectual property. That's it.
Yeah.
It's
your brand at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is my, and the thing is, well, I'm very, very precious about it, and I was quite concerned that it might get taken, from me.
Which you've seen in wrestling, quite a lot, and as history shown as well.
I've seen that happen a lot in wrestling. So the minute I had that thought, I just trademarked it.
Yeah,
trademarked myself as a wrestler because I wanted to do that anyway, but then trademarked the show because I think that show has a lot more power in terms of a brand than I will ever have. So it was really important for me to trademark it. And people may have seen that as me, I don't know, may have seen that as ego or what have you, but
Let them
that's not
speak,
the case
mate.
at
Just
all.
let them chat.
It's
Honestly, just
yeah,
don't.
I know, and I do. It's like I've been called all sorts by all sorts of people
Yeah.
for running these shows, but at the end of the day, the shows speak for themselves. They're
Mhm.
successful. People
The
love the
wrestlers are coming
shows.
back. The audience are coming back. You're
Yeah,
continuing to do shows. Let
and
them
it's
speak
important.
for
The
themselves.
main thing is it's important. People who want to talk negatively about the show are not doing anything to contribute to the scene other than wrestling. The wrestling their own, they're doing their own bookings. They're not adding anything else to
No.
or solving any sort of issues that are occurring within the scene. So I'm I'm selflessly doing this. I don't like to talk about um I guess that in a way because maybe people might be seeing it as me now talking about this. I'm being being selfish and conceited, but I'm just being honest. I
No.
don't get much out of
I
it,
might
and
ask you questions and you want to clear something up about your brand,
yeah.
mate, the
So
platform's yours. And I think you're doing it in a professional way as well. You're not just being, fuck the haters, look.
no. If like end of the day, people will have an opinion on stuff, and that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's it, mate.
I've had people very wrongly call me a racist for pointing out that there's a lack of representation, and I don't even understand how logic works, but I've had people call me that, saying, "Oh, if we, what would happen if we ran a show with all white wrestlers?"
That's quite a popular response, isn't it, for a lot of people when it comes to like a situation like this? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
and then
what, it's
I said
white
to them,
people.
"Okay,
I don't know.
I can send you about 50 match graphics that all have all white wrestlers
Yeah,
on it. So if you want to play this game, I've got all the evidence. It happens
yeah.
every weekend, and no one says a thing. So yeah,
Nah, so that's all good, mate. It's all good. But no, you believe in your brand. Yeah, obviously, I want to talk to you about it as well. And it's just called out, obviously, not just a wrestler as well, but being a promoter. Can imagine that being difficult, but it sounds like you know what you're doing and you're happy and there's progress as well with there. No pun intended, because we mentioned them earlier. But no, that's cool, man. I just want to switch off wrestling quickly because I know you're a
sure.
big Palace fan. Anyone that
Mm.
does follow you or seen you at live shows, you'll happily be sporting their top sometimes in the
Yeah,
entrance. How do you feel at the moment? I know it's only 2 games in, but are you happy so far? Let's little bit of a prediction. Where do you think Palace will end up at the end of the season?
I think we'll finish between 12th and 14th.
I agree with that.
I we need to spend some money
Yeah,
basically.
I think
I'm
you're going to
getting
miss
very
Saha.
yeah. Well, to be honest, I wasn't too. Obviously, it's quite sad to see him go because he's been with the
Yeah,
club forever and he's a
but
very much integral
got to
part of
move
the
on though,
club
haven't you?
and yeah and you see like the local community. Like I live very near Sellers Park
Hmm.
and there's a mural literally 2 minutes from my flat of Wilfred Zaha that's painted on the wall outside the ground. Um, when he was starting out at Palace, I used to see Wilfred Zaha all the time. He used to drive up and down my road very
Oh,
slowly in a very
sick.
fancy car. Yeah, because he's very local. So
Yeah,
so like I guess before he made it like massive, he
yeah,
obviously moved out of the area or moved into probably a gated community or something. But yeah, I used to see him all the time. I used to see him in Croydon, shopping. I used to see him in Croydon in the clubs, in the bars. You used to see him walking around the area, driving up down my
yeah.
road, as I mentioned. So he's like a big part of like the local community. Like
Mm.
I think from memory, I think I'm correct in saying he bought a share of Croydon Town Football Club literally before he left Palace. Him and Stormzy, I think, now own that
That's pretty
club.
sick. Yeah.
I think he's got. I think I don't know if this was like a joke or something, but I think he's bought a local kebab shop, like literally round the corner from me. Yeah. So I heard this before like he left it. He bought his Croydon Football Club. He bought this kebab shop that's like local kebab shop and
I'm gonna have
stuff.
to
So
Google this quickly. Hold on.
yeah, well, like this is the thing. Like I heard about this from kind of a reliable source and whatever. I've heard it a few times, but I've googled it. I've seen nothing. So I don't know if it's the kebab shop in question is called Abracadabra. It's in Shirley in Croydon. It's very nice. Actually, like one of the
Can't
kebab
see
shops
him at the moment, but hold on.
one of the kebab shops I actually go to. So the fact that he supposedly owns it, I think it's quite funny. And obviously now he's gone to Turkey. So, um, but him leaving didn't devastate me like I thought it would.
Hmm.
He's getting on in age. He's going to start to lose his pace soon, and pace is one of the main things, and skills and stuff.
He was always on his way
Um,
up for like quite a long time. You know, when he's even
yeah,
past Arsenal. Sorry, I kind of have to say unfortunately. But yeah, like he was linked to us for ages. Obviously, he wouldn't budge just because of the price tag you put on him, and then Everton wanted him, and then I think ultimately everyone's like, look, we're just going to wait till his contract ends. He's not,
Yeah.
he's not
I'm
necessarily.
very surprised no one picked him up. But like in this
I wanted him
country,
at Arsenal. I think he's a good player,
yeah.
and I think we could have
And I
offered
think he
him
could have
European.
still done quite well up top
Yeah,
instead of like maybe switching off or switching into an all-out striker position because he's got the skills, he's got great finish.
hmm
His pace will probably go in a year or two, but he can still easily pay up front. That's what I was hoping Palace would end up doing with him, but he's gone now, and we just need to get replacements in. Um, our squad depth isn't great. We need, it's very difficult to find one these days, but we need like a 15, 20 goal a season striker.
yeah.
Um,
So you can get Lukaku in like on a loan.
I've heard that's the rumor. I'd be delighted with Lukaku on a loan. It's a lot of money, but then what I heard, we wouldn't be paying his full wage anyway. So it's one of them weird things that could happen on deadline day,
Yeah,
which is fast approaching, which is scary. We've not got
the money's been spent. Well, I think half it's Chelsea anyway.
and that's the other thing. Like money's gone crazy this year, and I
That's
don't know.
insane. And they've got a loophole as well. They find a way around it. It's just baffling. But
Yeah,
I do applaud them a
but
little bit
like,
how they're doing it.
is this all money in football because? And I'm not kept up to date with it, but is it to do with are the TV rights gone up again? Is it because the Saudi investment in certain teams has now inflated the
Oh yeah,
the
for what they're
price
paying.
of
Like
things?
Jordan Henderson's getting paid like just under $1 million a week. It's like
Yeah,
fucking
it's
hell,
just
what has
like,
happened?
and there's things like like the value of transfers now is just silly. Everyone's going for like 70, 80, 100 million plus.
Yeah.
And like clubs like Palace are now, they're looking at spending 30 odd million on a player, which is, back, where are we now? Well, back, say 10 years ago, anyway, it would be unheard of. So, like, the 30 million of today is probably what 10 million was, maybe 5, 6 years ago. 3 million back then is probably what, like 10, 15 million equates to now. It's just all got a bit silly. And I get nervous when I see we're in for someone who's going to cost us a lot of money because it's a lot of money.
At least you've got Lise staying now. I bet you're happy about that.
Yeah. That's like a new sign in itself, to be
Mm.
honest. Because I was very much, and everyone was telling us that he's gone, and then
Because Chelsea are like, yeah, we're going to sign him, we're going to sign him. He just would have
yeah,
been a bench player. Not to say he's not good enough or anything. Just I still think he's a young player. And
they've signed way too many people for him
it's
to think
awful, though. It's just like they've just brought another squad in and hardly anyone
and
with experience.
I think going to Chelsea this season wouldn't be a good move for him anyway because they're not in the Champions League, they're not in Europe.
Nope.
They're in this massive rebuilding phase where they've got a massive squad of loads of depth. Elise is guaranteed to be first name on the team sheet every game this year. Obviously, he's already playing for France on 21, so he'll probably end up playing for the international team at some point. But he can only do it if he's playing games regularly. And Palace will give him that. And by the end of the day, Palace are playing the same teams Chelsea are playing this year. So going to Chelsea would be a bad move for him, other than financially.
Just like in terms of like development stuff, he'd just be rotting away. Probably go on loan to like I don't know,
Yeah,
Championship
probably
side.
go back to
Like
back on to Palace.
yeah, like
I actually honestly thought that he'd signed for Chelsea, and the best we could get him back for on loan. But yeah, we'll see what ends up happening next week. I don't know when this is going now, but next week is it's transfer deadline.
oh no, should be out on Friday evening, so should be okay. But it'll be out before the transfer deadline, and yeah, we was actually going to originally do this before the Arsenal Palace game, but I thought we played really well. To be fair, obviously, we was 10 men down, but I think Tomiyasu, I think that was very harsh.
Very harsh. I agree with you. That's very harsh.
I was a bit gutted, but I do believe I'm going to say this right, and I'm just saying because you're on the screen right now. But I've said it to my other mates, a Palace fan as well. That was a penalty. So I think we got
yeah.
But kind of made up because I think he should have been off anyway. So and
it was a penalty, I think, but then Tomiyasu shouldn't have been sent off. So it's
it kind of balanced out a little bit. But you'll be absolutely.
The ref didn't favour any of the teams. He was just crap.
I can't stand VAR. Just it's ruining the game, but that's another conversation to be had.
But it didn't do its job. That's the thing that baffled me. It's like
I love the idea of it, but just poorly executed.
I think VAR should just be reserved. Should have always just been reserved for like goal line technology, and that's it.
Yeah.
All this stuff about if a goal goes in, then they go back and check the play. No, just review it if it goes over a line. It doesn't, and you're not sure whether it's a goal or not. That should be it. Like I don't really like all this stuff about. Um,
Seven
well, I don't know.
refs on
Maybe things
monitor
like
all
penalties and
making
stuff. Yeah,
decisions,
maybe
and it takes like 5 minutes at least now just to make a
that's the
decision.
thing. Especially when someone scores,
Yeah,
you
and then
can't
by the time they
celebrate.
make a decision and say like the
Yeah,
goal given, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, great!
yeah.
Can't we get excited now?
Yeah,
Um,
it's definitely taken something out of the game.
that's it,
Definitely.
mate. That's it. But no, I think Paz will be fine. Roy's got it. He understands the club. Even though he's like in his mid-70s now, but he's come back. He's doing the job again. I've got about Vieira though, but I think you guys can be fine. But I'm just going to take a quick break, and here's a quick advert, and then we'll be back for more talk, and we'll be back wrestling. Don't worry. Hello there. I've got a special announcement from our next guest, and we're definitely not re-recording this.
Hey, this is Ronnie Knox, and this is What Do You Call It podcast.
Yeah, I heard. Hello there. I've got a special announcement from our next guest.
Hi, I'm Zizi, and I will be appearing on What Do You Call It podcast.
You heard. We just took a quick break then. Thank you for staying with us and coming back to part 2 of this interview. It's been a really good chat. I just want to talk about the upcoming match you have this weekend. So at the time of recording, you will be wrestling for Coliseum Pro Wrestling on Sunday. Tickets still available. Great company, by the way. I just have nothing but praise for them. I actually went to my first show last month, did a bit of backstage work helping out, and just really enjoyed the vibe, the show from start to finish. And I just felt like it was just a really good. And you know what you're saying about diversity? I think they had that as well. There was a bit of everything for something on the card. And the wrestling was great, but you were successful. Undefeated still in Coliseum Pro Wrestling. So it's going to be you. Alexander Roth, he's funny, by the way. That's my first time seeing him live. He's just cracks me up. But I'll ask about him in a minute. But you're facing Fabio Romano and Adriano. I want to know what your thoughts going into the match. What can the fans in attendance expect, and why should they come down before Wembley Stadium if they're heading there as well?
So as you mentioned, the 8-7, myself and Roth, and also Remy, because we did team as a trio last show. We are undefeated in Coliseum. Any tag team they put in front of us has been sent packing, and that's going to continue basically. Like me and Roth, a well-oiled machine. We've got tag team wrestling down to a fine art now. So yeah, we're not really. I mean, not to disrespect our opponents, but we're not feeling the heat on this one.
You're going to say it's a bit of a day off for you, a walk in the park?
Oh no, definitely not a day off. There's no such thing as a day off in wrestling. But
we've seen upsets in wrestling, boy. We've seen upsets.
We have. Obviously, we wrestled Fabio on the last show, and he essentially
put up a fight.
He put up a fight, but he had no mates.
Yeah, they wanted nothing to do with him.
There was no tag team continuity or any of that, and he's brought this Adriano guy. I admittedly don't know too much about him, because I'm not going to take him lightly. What I know is I've known Fabio for a while. I've wrestled Fabio a number of times, and he's never once brought up this Adriano guy. So to me, they're a makeshift tag team. It's a well-oiled 8-7 versus 2 singles wrestlers, essentially. And one of them we dealt with quite comfortably in the last show. So, the challenge and I guess the difficult nature of the match is all on their side. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
You're on the hot streak.
Come down, it'll be a great show, great entertainment for all the family, especially for like me, it's very local to me. And we have All In going on at the same day, and All In might not be for everyone.
No.
So if you love wrestling and All In's not for you, or you don't,
Coliseum Pro Wrestling is like an intimate wrestling show, isn't it?
Yeah, you want to see something a bit more intimate. Come down to Stanley Arts and see Coliseum. But then if you're like me and you love wrestling, and I'm going to All In later, the show is at time well enough for you to see both.
Appreciate it. Start till 5, so you'll have plenty of time.
Yeah,
there, Norwood Junction. Then I think you can go from Norwood Junction to Wembley.
Norwood Junction to London Bridge. London Bridge to Wembley.
We've just even given you listeners out there free directions.
So there you go. Like, come down. Like I said, there's ample time for you to do both.
Mhm.
Support independent wrestling from its grassroots because you never know. The stars of Coliseum, you might see them on AEW one day, or might see them in WWE one day. It's the way wrestling is, and so close and tight knit and connected. It's more than possible. You know, Coliseum have had ex WWE stars on their roster. You've seen you know, AEW stars who have come from the Brit wrestling scene. Who apply their trade in this great country. So, you know, support independent British wrestling from the grassroots, and you might see those guys on the big stage one day.
Damn right, mate. As a fan, it's just we all win at the end of the day. As much content is out there, but Coliseum Pro Wrestling, go check them out. Find them on social media. The website's quite easy to access as well. Get yourself tickets. Get yourself down there. Enjoy one show, and then if you are going to All In, enjoy another show. And who knows, you might even prefer Coliseum Pro Wrestling at the end of the weekend. I bet good money on that. There's a good chance. But no, I want to touch on the 8-7, your own stable. So tell me the process of that. So, you know, how did it come about? I want to know about the name as well. Is it like an area code? Just, yeah, give me a bit more insight to that.
So I guess the name came from conversations and car journeys with Roth and Kieran Corrupt. We traveled together all the time, and we just decided we wanted to be a stable or group, and we came together in Sacrifice Pro Wrestling. And essentially, we all live locally to each other pretty much anyway. Like we all within the Croydon area. We're looking for a name that's kind of fit that, but then we had all sorts of ideas come up, and then for some reason we stuck on the 8-7. No idea why, but I think at the time Giggs had an album that come out, and there's a track on the album called 187. And I was already coming out to Giggs. We all like Giggs. And then I think the name was suggested first, and then we saw that he had a song come out called 187. And the premise of 187, we wanted to be called 187, but it's not family friendly because obviously it's a code for homicide.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So we took the one out, and basically put anyone in front of us, and it's a homicide. So yeah, that's where the name came from, and it kind of like, you know, when you're throwing out names within a group of people, this one was one that stuck and we all agreed with, and that's just run from there. But yeah, like obviously the group's grown since.
I want to talk about the actual recruitment process that you've gone through with bringing in the people in the group, and why is it that you've chosen them to be affiliated with you?
So the original three, OG 8-7 is myself, Kieran Corrupt, Alexander Roth, obviously the hit set. I was feuding with Warren Banks in Sacrifice Pro Wrestling, and basically I couldn't beat him. And when I finally beat him, I beat him with the help of Kieran Corrupt and Alexander Roth. And I think this made Warren open his eyes up and see that he needed to be a bit more ruthless and have a bit more of a ruthless streak. And he decided he wanted to join the team. He joined the team. Then it was obviously four of us. Then Jade was pestering us to join. We kept saying no. And it's got to the point where it's like, oh, you know what, let's let her in. So we let Jade in. Unfortunately, Jade has stopped wrestling, and Kieran Corrupt's had a bit of a break. So for a while, it was just me, Roth, and Banks. And then we decided to bring Remy in because we just like the look of him. Like I mentioned Harrison earlier, Remy's a really cool guy to be around. I've known Remy for a while. I trained with him for quite a bit. At Knuckle Locks, and then he kind of, I think he might backed away from wrestling for a bit, and then went to go train again at Hustle. And when I saw him again on the scene, he just kind of evolved into this great, athletic, powerful wrestler.
Yeah,
he fit the group aesthetic, and we like him. He's a good person to be around. And I think that's the main thing, is what we like in terms of people who want to join the group, is do we actually want to spend time with them? Because that's what it boils down to. If you're in a stable or a tag team or a group with someone, you're going to spend a lot of time with that person. I spend a lot of time with Roth, a lot of car journeys, and we chat like almost daily about just random stuff.
Is he like the way he is in the ring, by the way?
Yeah.
Like, or was that
Yeah.
just him amped up? Like, is he actually just? I love him. He just captivates me a little bit. You can't take your eyes off him.
He's
Just so
yeah,
energetic.
he's a character, as I said. He's a character. You have to be in the right mood for him sometimes, because
Oh,
sometimes
really?
I'm not. I can be quite grumpy, and sometimes I'm not in the mood for him. And he can be quite grumpy as well, actually, to be fair.
Yeah. Especially
But
like first thing in the morning, it's like, no.
when I've got like a long car journey and I've got to go pick her off up,
Yeah.
I might be a bit quiet for a bit. But yeah, he's a great guy. Like I said, we all get on with each other. We want to be in a group of people we get on with.
Mhm.
That's the prerequisite. If we can sit in a car journey with this person, every Saturday, every Sunday,
Yeah.
spend all day with this person, then they'll be more likely to be accepted into the brotherhood. And then I mentioned I wrestled Harrison Leon. I think I'd seen him out at another show that I was on, and then I ended up wrestling him maybe a month or so later. And yeah, like I said, he's got like very infectious, positive energy.
Yeah.
Really cool guy to be around. He's really, really positive about wrestling, which is quite rare. I think probably more rare for people who like me who've been in the game for like 9 years now or whatever. It kind of grinds you down, can make you a bit negative. But the fact that he's so positive about it, always like this brings me back to when I first started wrestling. I actually like this guy. He's really cool to be around. So yeah, he fit the aesthetic as well. So we brought him in. We're probably at a point now where we've got a lot of members, so we might slow down the recruitment. But you never know. You never know.
Is there anyone, even like on one of your own shows, that has caught your eye and you think, okay, make a note, could be a good addition to the A?
Maybe not so much on my own shows, but there was at the last Coliseum show, we were sat backstage, and we got a picture with Connor Mills, and then Roth looked at it and I looked at it and I was like, might be a good fit for the group, But then he doesn't need to roll with a stable or anything. He's he's got his own back. But if he ever needs a bunch of guys to watch his back,
The offer's there, Connor. Just so you know, FYI.
Yeah, and that's why I posted a picture of us all on Instagram, because eyeball emojis. Just put that out there. Put that in
just wait and see. Yeah. No, he's good. He's really like just really improved as well. Like it's just the way he's looked as well. He's bulked up a bit, and just doing some really good work from what I see. Because I just remember like he used to be like the Wrestle 4 shows and like the long hair, and just it's like, is that him? I had to just double take at one point, but he's good, man. But I like just the vibe that you guys have, the presentation, just the in-ring work as well. You all have different styles. Like I think like where you're the powerhouse, but then you got someone with the athleticism, and then you got someone just do some more of the technical but high fly as well, and it just creates that chemistry, and you'll get on as well, like you said. And sometimes it can be just a night off. Not to say like your opponent's bad or anything like that, but just it makes it easier that you'll just connect so well and then have fun and you enjoy what you do as well.
Yeah, that's the main thing. If we go out there and you can't see that we're enjoying ourselves, something's wrong. Something's very wrong. Wrestling.
I did see you cracking up a few times.
And that's legit. Roth is Roth. He makes me laugh. At the end of the day, like I don't want to. Like wrestling's tough. It's hard. It's hard work.
Yeah,
it takes up a lot of your time. It takes up a lot of your energy. I wouldn't want to do it if I didn't enjoy it. And there's a lot of times where I don't enjoy wrestling, but the times that I do enjoy it, that's what keeps me going, what keeps me focused, keeps me in. So I want to enjoy every moment that I have.
What's the point, isn't it?
Like we saw with the pandemic, it can be taken away from us very quickly.
You kept yourself busy though, didn't you, with the Ibiza stuff? Was it Buenos Dias?
Well, yeah. So I got bored of being at home.
Yeah.
The same 4 walls for however many months.
Yeah.
So I just upped and moved to Ibiza for the summer, and changed my life basically.
It was like you had a good time though.
Well, to an extent, there were still restrictions and the like.
Yeah, but a bit more relaxed than like here though.
We're in restrictions in a much nicer environment, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. That's good. Something else you do enjoy: bodybuilding.
Yeah. So, well, I'm not enjoying it so much at the moment because I'm in the middle of a competition prep. I'm very hungry.
Oh, God. Oh, really?
but it's part of the process, and it's
The reward, like the payoff a little bit.
yeah, exactly. It's part of the process. I do love it. I do enjoy it generally overall, but it's just this
Hard work.
It's the hard bit.
Not saying that I can relate or I actually know what I'm talking about. Absolutely not.
Well, I'm sure you know what it feels like to be hungry. So
yeah, man.
I
I can relate.
just have that feeling every day, all day, regardless of if you've just eaten.
Yeah.
It's quite a weird phenomenon to eat and immediately be hungry afterwards. That's what I'm dealing with at the moment. So
Man, and the fact that you've still been positive and we've had a good conversation and you're able to do shows and work and just live your life normal. And whilst you're doing this prep, it's the mind must be so strong in order for you to continue this.
yeah, it has to be, because a slip up can just be around the corner
Yeah.
anytime. Like my girlfriend Jess, she's not a bodybuilder. We live together, so there's always food in the house that I can't eat. And I think, being as someone who's always lived on his own as well,
Yeah.
in the past, everything that's been in the cupboards is something like I can eat normally, but now it isn't. So I've always got that possibility of slipping up, eating something I shouldn't, or what have you. There's not bad things, but there's things I shouldn't be eating or whatever everywhere, wherever I go. I could just decide tomorrow that I don't want to go to the gym tomorrow, and that's me slipping up. Basically, I could decide I don't want to get all my steps in for the day tomorrow, and that's a slip up. I just can't let any of that happen, basically. So,
what inspired you to get into it? Just quickly before I sort of wrap up the interview, but what actually, what made you want to do this transition? I know you still do pro wrestling, but just that transformation. By the way, like I think when you did post it on your social media, I was like, "Fucking hell, that's Roy." Especially the mustache as well. That kind of completed it a little bit.
So during the pandemic and lockdown and stuff, when things started to open up again, I started working with a coach.
Yeah.
Shout him out, my coach Craig. I was literally just working with him to get in better shape, because like everyone else, we all got out of shape in the pandemic.
I actually lost loads of weight.
Really?
I was one of the rare ones, but I was actually doing like exercise. I was going for like long walks and stuff. Obviously like with the mask and stuff and keep my distance, but like I didn't touch any booze, no takeaways, stuff like that. I lost like 2 or 3 stones, mate. But then I put all back.
I was the opposite. I thought we were all going to die, so I just spent my time, and because I remember a longest period of that time, was over Easter. So I bought loads of Easter eggs, loads of them. So anywhere, whenever I saw an Easter egg, I bought it, basically. So I had loads of Easter eggs. I was just eating Easter eggs for breakfast and whatever. I'm a massive fan of pick a mix. I was eating pick a mix all the time. Takeaways, whatever I wanted to eat, I just ate it, because I just thought we're going to die soon. So just enjoy food or whatever. And then obviously when we came out on the other side, I'm like, right, okay. I mean, in wrestling terms, I wasn't in bad shape, but I wasn't in the shape I wanted.
You've always had a good physique, though. That's one thing I think with the fans I noticed. I remember seeing you like progress. Oh, it was like 2015, like one of the first. Not the all the shows had like names to it. It was one of the development shows, and
Endeavor.
That's the one. Yes, I think Mason Ryan was in the main event of Eddie Dennis. No, was it?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes, and you was on the card. That was my first ever progress show, my first time seeing you as well. But I'm just saying, like, I think just to kind of summarize what I'm saying is that you have always been someone who has a good physique. So for you to kind of feel that way, you are human.
So basically, I think the problem is before lockdown, I decided I want to start wrestling trunks. So I got in like good shape to wrestling trunks, and then I lost it all. And I was like, well, I can't come back to wrestling and wrestle in a singlet. I need to go back to wrestling trunks. And I did one of them Zoom training sessions with Dr. Tom Pritchard and Lance Storm, actually, at the time.
Yeah.
And they both just said, look, Dr. Tom especially, because he's American and he coached The Rock and all this sort of stuff. He was just like,
got a score with Kane now.
Yeah. He's like, get abs and get them out. It's one of the things he said to me. That's one thing. If I only took away one thing from the talk with him, which was very positive and very, very helpful, was he said, get abs and get them out, because you'll stand out above everyone. Especially, I mean, he didn't relay this to the Brit Wrest scene, but especially in the Brit Wrest scene, you stand out. So I hired a coach to do that. He got me in really good shape for my first match back. And because at the time I was doing the hosting for Progress, I knew my first match one of my first matches back would be for Progress and would be on the network.
Mhm.
And my trainer thought was, let me get in the best shape I can, you know, just in case someone has this Progress show up in the office in WWE, and you know, Vince
You never know.
and like, oh, who's that guy? You know, I just want to look good for that opportunity because that was where the most eyes would be on me for, and we did that. And then I was kind of not in limbo, but I was still training and still in really good shape. And my coach just threw it out to me one day, said, "Oh, you could probably do a bodybuilding show with the right coaching and stuff." And I thought, well, I'm not going to be interested in doing that, but you know, the idea was there, and
Mhm.
was
Planting the seeds,
floated
yeah.
about. So, and that was in the back of my mind. And then I did I trained with Yestin Reese. He came down to
He's a
Croydon.
fucking house.
He came down to Croydon. We hit one of the local gyms, and he, as part of the thing we were recording, he mentioned, just put it out there, said, "Oh, you should do a bodybuilding show." And I said on the thing, "Yeah, I'm considering it." And the fact that I said that, then I had to do it now because I put that out there.
Mhm.
And I'm very much a man of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'll try my absolute hardest to do it.
Yeah.
So I did one show, similar to this one. I found the process very, very taxing, and it's more like very much mind over matter. But we got there in the end. I got on stage, and all I wanted to do was get on stage in the best condition I could.
Mhm.
And I won my first show as the first time, and got invited to the British finals.
That's mental, by the way. Your first ever show when it only just you've been sort of, you know, really going for it. Like a year or so.
Yeah, and I was only ever going to do one, but the fact that I got invited to the finals, I thought I might as well do it.
Caught the bug,
invited.
yeah.
That might never happen ever again. And then I kind of got the bug for it doing the prep for these finals. And then I said to my coach that I want to do another 2 shows around about the same time as this British finals.
Yep.
Is this possible? And he said, well, it'll be difficult to peak you for 3 shows, but we can do it. And so I did the British finals and then did 2 shows the following weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that then solidified myself in my own mind as a bodybuilder who wrestles. So I then did the whole off-season process, which is actually a lot more difficult than the prep. I didn't appreciate how difficult that is in terms of like putting on weight and all that sort of thing, how uncomfortable it can be at times when you're, you know, stuffing down all this food, and you've eaten a meal and you're still full from it, then you realize you've got to eat again in 20 minutes. And you know, your clothes aren't fitting anymore, and I think especially with wrestling as well, it impacts how you move.
I'm gonna say, did you find it slowed you down a bit?
Yeah, like I put on maybe 25 kilos of weight in between my last show and the end of my off season.
Yeah.
All like intended and deliberate. That was the whole plan, to put on weight and to hold a level of weight for a period of time before I start cutting down again. I've now lost over 20 kilos since then, as I've approached my stage weight. Then God, we'll see where I end up next year in terms of when I do this off season. So it's a difficult process. I didn't appreciate how difficult it was, but it's something that's kept me quite focused, I think.
And you've seen rewards as well, though. Obviously, like you said, like you won your first ever competition.
Yeah, and there's been like a number of things that have happened in life, as things in life do, and having these bodybuilding shows to prep for and to do has kept me focused in other areas of life where maybe if I didn't have something else to focus on, it might have made things a lot more difficult to deal with. Having the bodybuilding really gave me a focus and a structure for my life and my day to day. Like my day, every day is focused and centered around about when I go to the gym, basically.
Yeah.
So I wake up in the morning, I'll decide first thing in the morning or the night before what time I'm going to go to the gym, and then I plan my rest of my day around that. So today, for example, I decided I was going to go to the gym at lunchtime, so I made sure I had 2 meals in me and then went to the gym, and I had to time that all so I get to the gym in the right time and whatever, and then everything else happens the rest of the day. It centers all around that. That's just how my life is and how it has been for the last
discipline, though, man. It's like it's just maintaining as well. It's, you know, I'm one person, like, just from my personal experience, I've been on and off with gym and stuff, and I just don't have that discipline. And for you to do that, maintain it, and then with the schedule we have with wrestling, and then just being yourself as well, it's just. But it is going back to what I said earlier, and I think you agreed as well. The mind, it's just having that that strength to do it on a daily basis that you do. I don't think some people do truly appreciate that, how hard it is.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm going to continue doing it. And actually, to be honest, I said this recently to my girlfriend. I actually enjoy bodybuilding a bit more than wrestling now.
Really?
I never thought I'd say. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I just think it's the gratification of what you do. It's real hard work, and you really get something out of it. And obviously, it does help with how you look in a wrestling ring as well. But
yeah,
it's the bodybuilding and strength sport community, they're all very, very, very supportive. It's a very positive community. Even people who compete against each other, they're all very supportive of each other, and that's something that maybe is lacking a bit in wrestling. It's maybe so much on the Brit Rest in the indie scene. So, but I think bodybuilding has more legs for me in terms of how I can do it rather than wrestling. So, if I end up transitioning more into that sort of stuff, that might be the next step for me.
No, I respect that, mate. I respect that. But it's the fact that you still do it and juggling. But a lot of people just kind of like, oh, I might do it, but I've still got this. You're doing both things that you do love and train for. So that's pretty wicked, man. I can always, as a fan, and when I do direct the fans to your social media, they will see how hard you work for these two things that that you're committed to. One last question. It's a fun question, and it doesn't have to be wrestling related. Well, I don't think we actually talked a lot of wrestling in this chat, but it's nice just to switch off sometimes. I just, even myself, as much as I love it, I just need a break. But this question's fun. 3 dream dinner guests for your dream party, dead or alive, past or present, fiction, non-fiction, entirely up to you, mate. Roy, you're the host. Who do you want at the meal? And if you can give a short answer as to why you want them there, that would be awesome as well.
The Rock's always one I always say. Would always say The Rock.
Can't go wrong on The Rock, can you? Or do you mean, when you say The Rock, though, would it be the People's Champion The Rock or Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the actor?
Not the wrestler. No, not the wrestler. It'd be too much. I don't want it. No, it'd be annoying. Trying to have a conversation with him, and he's show. It doesn't matter what you think.
When he's just like putting you down, exactly. It doesn't matter.
Just The Rock, the human being, be one. I think the other one would probably be Arnie.
Need to watch his documentary on Netflix. That series.
Yeah, I've watched that. It's very good. I'd like to sit and have a conversation with him about life and stuff. I've always found him to be a fascinating human, and I don't really like celebrity and stuff like that. Doesn't faze me.
No one's actually mentioned Arnold before, which is quite surprising. I talk to wrestlers on a weekly basis, not on a week basis, but yeah, no one's mentioned Arnold for some reason. But there you go.
So I always found him to be fascinating. I just like someone who I would like to meet. And then the third one, I would say Vince McMahon, but I don't know what I talked to him about, because I wouldn't want to talk to him about wrestling.
Yeah.
So,
but at the same time, it's like, is it going to be bullshit what he's saying? Like don't get me wrong. Obviously, we know about his background and just things he's been up to, but he interests me still. He's so fascinating, and I would love to know truly what goes on in his mind, just to pick his brain.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe him. I would have said a few years ago Elon Musk, but I'm not a big fan of him at the moment. He's ruined Twitter. Right?
He has, hasn't he, man? Just like
literally everything I wouldn't want him to do to it, he's done to it. And it's just it's not a place I want to be.
X now.
So I don't know who the third one would be. It's really difficult.
We'll stick with Vince then. We'll stick with Vince.
Yeah, let's put Vince there for now, because I do still find him to be a fascinating person. He is the father of what people the rest of this day, and he's the reason why a lot of us are doing what we do.
That's true. With no Vince, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Just
for all his faults and whatever, I wouldn't be doing what I do currently, and wouldn't love and have the passion for wrestling if it wasn't for him. So
Awesome. I'm going to add one extra question to that because you and your three guests are all body guys. What would you have as a meal? Not talking about like dessert or anything like that, but just like the main course.
oh, okay. So I know. So Vince, he's a big eater,
Mm-hmm.
and
Steak
the
power.
Rocks are a big eater as well.
Off the rock eats. Fuck yeah, now.
So it'd have to be something quite substantial. I don't know
Mm.
what Arnie's appetite's like these days. From what I've seen of him, he still eats very healthily. So it'd have to be some sort of mix between. I don't want to do like one of the Rock's epic cheat days because I actually want to sit and enjoy a conversation, not have like a food coma or whatever.
Just picking out and then getting to like a food coma.
Yeah, some sort of steak and potatoes, or something simple like chicken and rice, or something substantial but healthy, and then have the option to have a big dirty dessert. I think.
I like it, mate. I like it. Roy, thank you very much for your time. We're now at the end of the interview. It's been a great chat. And I know we have had to reschedule, but it's been totally worth it, in my opinion. I want to wish you good luck for Sunday's show, Coliseum Pro Wrestling. Still tickets available. Check them out. Anyone that is going to All In, I know you are as well. I am myself. Hope everyone has a good time. Should be a good show. And hopefully it just gives British Wrestling as well that extra boost as well. Not just AEW as a brand, but British Wrestling as well.
Yeah, and I hope actually. I mean, the likelihood of this is happening is probably quite slim, but it'd be great if a couple of indie names get on that show somehow.
Even like a battle royal, just that opportunity, just to wrestle.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I know, like a lot of people don't want to see it because a lot of people are like, this is we're paying for AEW shows, so et cetera, et cetera. However,
it doesn't mean we have to have Grado either.
I love Grado. Grado's the only one he's the one that made most sense to me.
It's
like the whole everyone singing like a prayer, 80,000 people singing like a prayer. Absolutely. Give me that. That's all I want. Inject it into my veins. I'll be there. I'll be there singing it myself. So,
do you know what? Right, I'm not the biggest fan of Jericho, but I know what's going to happen. As soon as Fozzy comes on, the entrance there, and I'm there live, and I've had a few beers, I'm going to be probably like,
no, you're of course you're going to be belting out Judas, who isn't it?
I'm not denying it, but I'm going to be a fanboy, aren't I? I'm just,
and they're performing live as well. So
it was always going to happen. By the way, when that was announced, I was not one bit surprised by that. I was just like,
I mean, why would he not? If I was a rock had a rock band,
that do your entrance,
pull any strings I could to perform my own entrance at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah,
he can now say he's played in front of 8,000 people at Wembley Stadium.
It'd be interesting though if he's actually going to do the singing, or if we're all going to be doing the singing. I think it's going to be a bit mixture of both.
Mixture of both. I think he'll sing bits, and then everyone will sing.
So he's got to wrestle Ospreay for like 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, might want to calm down on the performance, mate. But I've seen clips of Jericho. He's actually performing tonight. I'm not seeing them. But if anyone is watching them,
he is. Yeah, he is,
hope you enjoy it. I've seen some clips that kind of hit and miss for me. But overall,
the funny thing is, I used to live in Nottingham.
Yeah,
and Fozzy used to regularly play in a club called Rock City in Nottingham. This was like years and years ago, maybe 20 years ago now. But it's like when they weren't so well known.
Mm-hmm.
So like people would just be like, "Oh, that's Chris Jericho," but no one would really associate the fact that he has this band called Fozzy. Like people like this club is very well known in terms of like the rock and indie scene, but it's quite underground still. So like the fact that you could just like rock up to this place like on a Friday night and Chris Jericho's there performing,
and like literally you're paying like the same price you would pay for like any other band that's not really that known.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I admire his commitment. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of him as a character these days, but as a person, and just of his age as well, and how long he's been wrestling for, committed to his band still. Kind of like you with the bodybuilding. No, you multitask, but you still pursue it and you're still good at it on a good level. I've got to give Jericho his props.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I just think from his character work these days is a bit. But Overall,
I think he's great. I like
Yeah.
Jericho. I think he's great.
I didn't like the Jericho Appreciation Society stuff. I just thought that was just naff for me, and I think some of these feuds go on for too long now. Yeah, I just haven't. I liked him at first in AW. I'm 10 bit for fanboy now, but as we're here, but I just think at the point where he is now, I'm just not really invested in the character. But I do still appreciate the fact that he's still able to wrestle the way he does at his age. I'm not saying he's like 75 years older than him, but at that age, when you like
At his age, it's still difficult.
100%, mate. I think at any age anyway, but like with his,
Yeah, it's difficult at any age, but the fact that he can still do the stuff he can do is real testament to how good he is.
That's it, mate. That's it. Right, where can the listeners find you on social media so they can keep up to date with your bodybuilding and your wrestling?
So if you Instagram, Twitter, Threads, all Roy Johnson, that's the app, that's the handle. If you type in Roy Johnson on Facebook, you'll find my Facebook page, and royjohnsonbigcartel.com is where I sell
got
my
some
merch.
sweet merch in there, mate. And I think, was it discounted, some of the t-shirts at the moment?
Or
was that changed now?
I think I just I had there were a couple of discounted bits on there, So that's where you can find me. Basically, as you mentioned, Coliseum, the Sunday before All In. That's where I'm going to be wrestling next, and then after that, I'm having a little bit of a break from wrestling, so I'm in the best shape possible for my bodybuilding show, and then I've got a few bookings after that. I can't even remember where. But yeah, one of them being Everything Patterned on September. Yeah.
Awesome. If the fans want to keep up to date with you, they can do so in the details that you just provided. But if they've missed that, I'll put them in the description below so they can keep up to date with you and what you got lined up next. If they can like this video, subscribe to the account, that'd be much appreciated. Really enjoy this chat, Roy. I know, so like I said earlier, took a while to get here, but it was 100% worth it. Really good chat, and being a fan of you for a while. Like I sent you the photo personally a couple of years ago. I was a bit skinnier then, but things happen. But yeah, no, that's it's cool, man. It's cool. But I hope you the best. Wish you good luck in your bodybuilding contest. If I don't speak to you before that. But if you can also follow me in my social media handles description below, that would be great. But for now, everyone, have a great bank holiday weekend. If you're American, I don't know, just do what you want to do, really. But no, just everyone have a great evening, day, morning, whatever. Take care. Peace. Hello there. I've got a special announcement for my next guest.
Buenos dias, what's going on, people? It's your boy, Big Wavy Roy Johnson, and I'm here kicking it on What You Call It podcast.
You heard. Buenos dias. That's actually hello in Spanish, not goodbye. But take care. You heard.